Game reveals do not just show gameplay anymore, they blow your mind. We are talking about the kind of games that make you stop, stare, and wonder if what you are seeing is even possible. These are the worlds designed to make you forget reality exists. The time sinks. The games you plan to play for an hour that turn into an all-nighter. From horror games with physics so real they are nauseating to open-world RPGs that are literally the size of countries, we have found the titles that are going to ruin your sleep schedule. Here are the top 10 upcoming games that will steal hundreds of hours of your life. First up is Ill. If you follow horror gaming on Twitter, you have seen the clips. This game throws you into one of the most disturbing experiences in years. You play as a man trapped in a decaying town infected by something you cannot quite explain. It is a disease that mutates people into twisted living nightmares. The developers Team Clout are focusing entirely on body horror and advanced physics. The game runs on Unreal Engine 5, and the level of detail is almost uncomfortable. The lighting, the fluids, the way things move, it all feels disgustingly real. When you shoot an enemy, limbs do not just pop off with a canned animation. The developers have built a real-time dismemberment system where flesh tears, bones shatter, and bodies react exactly where you hit them. There's a lot of mystery around the story, but leaks suggest it focuses on a small town driven mad by a corporate experiment gone wrong. The enemies are not zombies. They are unpredictable, mutated humans who stumble, trip, and scream in ways that sound way too human. If you want immersion that pushes realism to the edge, this one is going to mess with you. But if you prefer your nightmares to be a bit more open-ended, you need to see this next one. The Wayward Realms is a title you need to remember. This is being marketed as a grand RPG, and for good reason. It is being led by Ted Peterson and Julian LeFay. If those names do not ring a bell, they are the original creators of the Elder Scrolls Arena and Daggerfall. They are essentially the grandfathers of the modern open-world RPG, and they are back to reclaim the throne. This game puts you in a massive fantasy world made up of over 100 realistic islands. We are not talking about a small map you can run across in 20 minutes. This is a scale we have not seen in decades. It uses procedural generation technology to create a world that feels endless. The real hook here is the virtual game master system. The game does not just follow a script, it watches how you play. If you start acting like a thief, the world shifts to give you more opportunities for crime, but also harsher guards. If you play as a knight, you might get invited to royal courts. It is the ultimate role-playing promise. You can sail between islands, delve into dungeons that go on for miles, and engage in political intrigue that changes the map. This is the definition of a time sink. Speaking of games designed to be played forever, let us look at Soulframe. This takes a totally different path from what Digital Extremes is known for. They are the team behind Warframe, a game people have sunk thousands of hours into. But instead of fast sci-fi ninjas, Soulframe slows things down and leans hard into fantasy. You play as an envoy, a warrior bound to ancient spirits, waking up in a world where nature is fighting back against humanity. The combat feels heavy and deliberate. It is all about timing, blocking, dodging, and finding small openings. Every hit looks brutal but beautiful. You can throw your sword to pin an enemy to a wall, then use magic to turn them to stone. The depth comes from the pact system. You make pacts with different spirits like Ode Tempest or Garen Rude, which completely changes your skills and playstyle. There's also a mechanic involving motes, which lets you customize every single part of your weapon. Since this is from the Warframe developers, you know this game is going to be supported for 10 years. It is free to play, massive, and incredibly stylish. But maybe you want combat that is even more intense. Vindictus Defying Fate brings the classic MMO vibe back, but this time it is a full-blown action RPG built in Unreal Engine 5. The original Vindictus was known for having the best combat in the genre, and this remake is doubling down on that. The game keeps that dark fantasy aesthetic, but everything looks way more realistic. You can play as familiar heroes like Lan, who uses dual swords for lightning-fast attacks, or Fiona, who uses a shield to block massive boss hits. The physics here are the star of the show. Every slash, block, and dodge has actual weight. When you hit an enemy with a heavy attack, you feel the impact. They have introduced a new stagger gauge system. If you keep the pressure on a boss, you can break their posture and trigger a fatal action, which is a cinematic finisher that deals massive damage. The world itself is rough and grounded. You will travel through ruined towns and deep dungeons. It is not just about mashing buttons. It is a skill check. If you want a game that rewards you for mastering it over hundreds of hours, this is it. Now let us switch gears to a legend returning from the dead. Fable is finally coming back. This reboot brings the fantasy world of Albion to the modern age, full of humor, magic, and choices that actually matter. You play as a hero, or maybe something less heroic, depending on how you handle things. The trailer introduced us to Humphrey, a retired hero who is forced to help you. The writing seems to have captured that classic British humor the series is famous for. You are not just saving the world, you're kicking chickens and annoying the locals while you do it. This reboot is being made by Playground Games, the team behind Forza Horizon. That might sound weird, but they're using the Forza tech engine and it looks absolutely stunning. The lighting and facial animations are next level. Combat blends sword fighting, bows, and magic seamlessly. You can launch an enemy into the air with a fireball and then finish them with a sword slam. The big question is how deep the morality system goes. In previous games, being evil changed your physical appearance. we are hoping to see that return in a big way. From a fairy tale world, we drop straight into a psychological prison. The Outlast Trials has just dropped its massive Season 5 update, Project Messiah, and it has turned the game into an endless nightmare loop. If you have not played it, this is a co-op horror game where you and your friends are test subjects in a Cold War experiment. The new update introduces a prime asset named Sister Lilia. She's a deranged nun who hunts you down with a level of aggression we have not seen before. The new map, The Resort, looks peaceful from the outside, but inside it is a slaughterhouse. The mission requires you to sabotage a human trafficking auction. It is tense, claustrophobic, and every sound makes you jump. The reason this game steals your time is the replayability. There's a new mode called Invasion, where human players can invade your game disguised as enemies. You never know if that monster in the corner is an AI or a real person waiting to jump you. It keeps the tension high and makes every run feel different. If you want to fight back against the gods instead of running from them, look at the God Slayer. This is an open-world action RPG developed by Pathia Games, and it has a setting we rarely see. It mixes Chinese mythology with a dark steampunk style. You play as an Elemencer, a warrior who can control the 5 elements: fire, water, earth, wood, and metal. The story is about a world where the gods have gone mad and are destroying humanity. Your job is to hunt them down. The combat system lets you switch between elements on the fly. You can freeze an enemy with water, then shatter them with a stone fist. The world design is incredible. You have ancient floating temples right next to massive, rusting industrial pipes and gears. It gives the game a unique look that stands out from your typical fantasy game. Exploration is a big focus here. You have a grapple hook and can run along walls to reach hidden areas. If you like games like Sekiro but want more magic and open-world freedom, this is one to watch. For those who miss the freedom of Skyrim or Kingdoms of Amalur, there is Fatekeeper. This game puts you in a handcrafted fantasy world where ruins whisper of past cataclysms. It is being published by THQ Nordic, and there are a lot of rumors that this might be a spiritual successor to Amalur. You play as a fate-bound warrior, someone who can rewrite destiny. The gameplay is first-person, which makes the combat feel very personal. You can wield swords in one hand and cast spells with the other. The magic system is physics-based. You can cast a grease spell on the floor to make enemies slip, or use fire to burn down wooden barricades. The developers have stated they are avoiding procedural generation. Every cave, castle, and forest is hand-built to tell a story. This means exploration actually feels rewarding because you are finding unique lore and items, not just random loot chests. It is shaping up to be one of those cozy yet brutal RPGs you can get lost in for months. Let us jump to the future for a moment. Defect is a game that is flying under the radar but looks incredible. This is a squad-based cyberpunk shooter set in a city ruled by an authoritarian AI called the System. You play as a Defect, a rogue police officer or gang member fighting for control. The gameplay loop is unique. It is an immersive sim shooter with no HUD. You have to check your ammo manually. You have to listen for footsteps. The environment is fully destructible. You can shoot through walls, blow up floors to drop enemies, and use gadgets to hack security systems. You can play solo, co-op, or in a 4 vs 4 vs 4 mode. That is 3 teams fighting over objectives. The alliances can shift in seconds. You might team up with another squad to take down a boss, only to betray them at the extraction point. The tension of not knowing who to trust makes this highly addictive. Finally, we have Swords of Legends. Do not confuse this with the MMO. This is a new, single-player action RPG built in Unreal Engine 5, and it looks jaw-dropping. It is based on the classic Chinese text, the classic of mountains and seas. You play as a Sea Pan, a spirit enforcer who travels between the land of the living and the dead. The world is not fully open, but what they call wide linear. This allows for tighter pacing and more detailed environments without the empty space of an open world. The combat is fast and cinematic. You use a mix of swordplay and spiritual magic. The coolest feature is the soul summoning system. When you defeat powerful demons, you can capture their souls and summon them to fight for you later. It is like Pokemon meets Devil May Cry. The visuals are colorful and vibrant, a nice break from all the dark grit we usually see. If you want a beautiful, story-driven action game to sink your teeth into, this is the one. These are the worlds we are going to get lost in. Which one is going to ruin your sleep schedule first? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.